guess at the moment I am a team leader for Auckland Council Resource Consent Division, but on the side my husband and I are property investors. I've been in the game since I was 21, 22 years old. Prior to that, in terms of educational qualifications, I don't have any qualifications. I left school at 16 years old. I came up to Auckland, moved up to Auckland from Hawke's Bay and started working. He was very open about where him and my mother were in life in terms of finances and what you have to do to get certain places and that sort of thing. I guess initially the plan was to find a job. I guess now we call it your vision, that type of thing. For me it was I knew the bigger picture was buy a few houses, and I knew that the strategy was, not knowing that it was called strategy at the time, but the plan was, you had to put some money away, buy the first house. Once you've got the first house, and like my father said, once you've got the first house, the second one is easier, then the third, then the fourth, and that sort of thing. So that was the only plan I had at that time.
How do you look at maximizing your returns? By that I mean, do you look long-term investing, or are you into short-term investing?
I guess over the years, when I first started, it was just about buying the house, and it was the challenge of seeing whether I could actually buy the first one, buy the second one, that type of thing. As I got older and a little bit more clued up or knowledgeable, I knew that, and actually just looking at family around me and understanding that, when they retire or finish, work, some of them don't have anything, they don't have any plan, or they don't have any income, and they're reliant on the government to assist them with, like the pension and that sort of thing. And so for me it was like thinking about, my long term, what is it that I'm really trying to achieve long term, and for me it is being financially free in retirement, and having that passive income, like not having to worry about where the next dollar is coming from.
Does the economic slowdown affect your investments? If yes, and how do you tide over it?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, in terms of, there was a recession back in, I think, 2008. For me, it was about just holding what we had, like holding in terms of the properties, holding our investment properties, and not buying into what everybody else was doing. Like everybody else was panicking, and the interest rates are going up, and not going to be able to afford the mortgage, that type of thing. But for me, it was just understanding that this is just business as usual. What's different, today from yesterday? There was absolutely nothing. We're still getting the same income. I've still got a job. We just continue to pay the, same amount on the mortgage and that type of thing. So I saw it as an opportunity, really. People selling off their houses. So it's like, okay, hey, this is time for me to go and buy a house. That type of.
Did you need to network a lot?
When I started working, I was only 16, so I was working with people who, were like 25, that type of thing, and they had families and they were starting to buy their houses. So I surrounded myself, I made sure that I wanted to know how they got it.
Yeah.
Some people were very, they didn't really want to, tell me a lot, being quite young, but I was quite persistent. I saw who were kind of achieving the goals that I wanted to achieve. I picked them out and went and networked and talked to them and became really good friends with them. In terms of I guess, family and friends, I got a lot of, you're too young. And, why do you want to tie yourself into a mortgage or mortgages? I did get a lot of negativity, but I knew what my goal was, and I knew what I wanted to do, and where I was heading. No matter what, I didn't sort of sway from where I was heading. So and because I am quite passionate about it, I only want to surround myself by people who actually know what I'm talking about and who actually share my passion as well.
What are your future plans, say 5 or 10 years down the line? Are you planning on investing in commercial property or overseas?
I think I am quite, I guess some would call it, I have not tunnel vision, but I'm only interested in residential investment. People are like, you've got to, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and you've got to diversify and that sort of thing. I'm not interested in the share market, that I'm not passionate about that stuff. Commercial property, maybe, if I was really interested in it, I would have gone for it anyway. But
have you always seen yourself as an entrepreneur, or this is something you learned through study and experience?
It's definitely not something I have learned through study. We bought my first property, at the age of 21, going on to 22, and we sold that at the age of about 22, and straight away 90 grand, 90,000, and so once I got a taste of that, it was like, okay, and my husband and I already had our house together. So from there I was like, oh yeah, this is actually, I can do this, I have always thought of myself as a risk taker, and I am quite decisive when I want to do something, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to be swayed.
What are the beliefs and values that guide you, either in your work life or in your investments?
My family, absolutely. My family is what absolutely drives me.
Now, how would you define success?
Defining success, everybody has their own definition of success. For me, success is saying that my family are happy, and that they are, that they have a roof over their head, they have food on the table, that type of thing. That's my definition of success. The initial goal was to build up a property portfolio, and the next goal was, not wanting to, I didn't want to top up my mortgages, and I was like, how can I do that, so what I did was I kind of changed my strategy, because I was buying up in Auckland all the time. So what I decided to do, and how we talk about diversification, that sort of thing, how I diversified was I went down to Hawke's Bay, which is where I'm from, and I saw that some of the properties down there offered higher yields, which would obviously pay for my top-ups here.
In hindsight, would you change anything if you were to do this again?
Yeah, I think, there are some things I definitely, think, I wouldn't be so hasty, in terms of my risk taking, yes, absolutely, still the same, see a property, buy it, that sort of thing, try and push the boundaries with the bank, I know I've been through quite a few banks, and I've learnt that if they don't give me what I want, there's always another bank out there that will offer me what I want, that type of thing. I've learnt to play them off. And I've learnt to work with some really clued up people who can help me achieve my goals.
With so much construction going on in Auckland and in around New Zealand, becoming an entrepreneur through investing in properties is not not really a bad choice. Actually, it's one of the best choices that you